Okay, so a couple of years ago, I had recorded two videos, or more accurately, audio, which would later be made into two videos, detailing the ideas that I had for a novel that I would write at some point in the future that would be called The Nurse of Frenzy. I did one that was, I suppose, 58 minutes, which was a bit abridged, and then another that was about an hour and a half long. I will leave both of those in the description. If you've not seen those, I highly recommend you do, just so you get a better context for the events that will be discussed in this chat here. But basically, that book is going to be based on the life and times of a particular branch of my family, particularly my cousins, whom I talk about all the time on here, and I believe one of which follows me on this here channel. And it would basically carry us through from a period of about maybe 60 years to when my aunt was born, to basically when she met the person who would become my uncle, when they had children and were raising them, and basically the whole climactic event of the novel that would really sort of act as a very dramatic tonal shift would be the passing of that uncle from some or another type of throat cancer in 2008. And basically the whole book from then on, it would take us from 2008 until 2019. It would basically follow the family, particularly the four boys, and how they are faced with this grief and how they indeed go about overcoming it. Obviously, as I've stated in those two videos, that sequence of events is very tragic indeed. In fact, coming from someone who's lost his father about 3 years ago, I can relate very strongly to this. But you must not deny that from a story perspective, it is completely fascinating and engaging as well. And so the conceit of the idea was that I would write one book about it. It would span, as I said, about a period of 60 years or so, and it would be sort of like a family epic, even though it really didn't detail too many generations. Maybe like, I don't know, 2 or 3, maybe. But nevertheless, that would be the layout of this book here. And for a good 3 years, actually really about 4 years, I was interviewing these folks about their lives and such, and have gotten quite a lot of material from 2019 until 2020. And then there was a period where I couldn't do it for about 2.5 years, and then I got back into it 2022, and I'm pretty much almost done with the questions that I need to be asking these people. So, with that aside, I was thinking about all this and strongly contemplating everything as to how I was going to set everything up, because I most likely won't commit to writing this at least 3 to 4 years from now, because I have plenty of projects on the go and on which I have my sights fixed at the moment that I want to get done before this, and it would take too much time for me to just be focused on that, even though really the book would write itself because I have all the information there, at the ready, and it probably wouldn't take as long if I were to just, imagine it out of my head. So, nevertheless, I was thinking this matter over, And it occurred to me that throughout the 2 or 3 years, these past 2 or 3 years, there has transpired enough to merit material for at least 1 to 2 additional volumes. And I was thinking that perhaps, I'm not sure if I will do this or not, but maybe I would break this up into a trilogy of novels. Of course, it would have to be, these books would need to follow a different structure, because the first one would obviously be the most epic in scope, and also the most, I suppose, detailed in terms of how much stuff happens over the course of several years and all that. So these next two would probably need to be in a different style, nevertheless. But anyway, so what happened over these past couple of years was, in January and February of 2020, I had successfully interviewed my aunt and even my cousins about their lives and how really everything was affected and such, and all that, by the passing. And we were just getting to the part where they were going to detail everything that happened after 2008. And I couldn't do it at the time because, well, you probably know why I couldn't do it. I don't necessarily want to espouse that kind of nonsense on this channel for the sake of me and posterity, but nevertheless, you could probably put into sequence exactly what it was based on the context and the dates that are given. But I had interviewed them on the phone at first in March, and it was really bad quality. The recording of it was, anyway, and I sort of regret doing this, but I had to delete it because, well, as I said, the quality was very bad, and also there were some things there mentioned that I didn't want necessarily to recollect, and I very stupidly deleted the thing. And for 3 whole years, almost 3 years, we didn't really communicate at all, and essentially they just walled themselves off from the rest of the world, completely isolated from us, and as I said, everything going on and all that. And I just found it to be kind of an interesting dichotomy, because here was I and my family. I was living in a rented house at the time, just getting a start on independent life, and I was doing a lot of reading and a lot of writing and such. And of course, in May of 2020, I lose my father and have this spiritual awakening, and eventually became a Catholic, then a Christian, then a Catholic, and a Christian, and now I'm basically just, as I said, a Christian. So, and then also there was some doubt as to whether I would even interact with these folks ever again, because of all of our opposed views about certain things. We wouldn't necessarily want to discuss certain matters and all that. And really, I remember sending them a King James Bible, because this was at the time when I was very much into radical born-againism. And I already adapted most of that for a work that I'm currently working on, so I probably won't do much of that in this particular work. But nevertheless, there is pretty much that element there that may well be addressed. And then, so you have us on that side there, and my mother trying to cope with the grief and such, which she got over it rather quickly, I must say. And my brother and such and all that, so it would be an interesting thing there. And then obviously you have them on that side of the metaphoric Atlantic, up north, and basically I know very little about what happened up there, because obviously I wasn't there. but one of them essentially decided to venture out of the house and go out on these long tramping excursions, walking excursions with his friends and try to reconnect with creation and such and himself, and basically try to overcome this whole thing that oppressed them so. And eventually it ended up being that he met a girl who ended up eventually becoming his wife, actually. And then obviously recently one of my other cousins started working for us again, and there would also be some sort of something or other to detail about that there, but nevertheless, so there was that. And then also, as I said, late 2022, we sort of reconnected, and we started talking again about this whole thing. And I almost finished with the questions that I was going to ask these people, but I'm thinking of perhaps re-interviewing them. Well, to be more precise, my aunt, because here's what happened. About a week or so ago, my mother and her went on a retreat, and basically a sort of a spiritual sort of retreat. And basically, there was all sorts of stuff going on. I don't quite remember. Obviously, this will maybe be detailed in the book, but I won't detail it here because I can't really remember. But the important thing was that there's something called the Golden Circle, which basically is something that you house yourself in, and I suppose cast out all of your demons and such to the universe and all that. And basically you would be made a person anew. Mom decided to do that with my aunt, and because she was very concerned about the grief that she had experienced over these years and had wanted to basically drive it out of her. So, and luckily, my aunt was receptive to this. She was willing to take this on, and she had said that there was also some guilt incurred about the father passing on, and that she felt that she was responsible because there was some very improbable prophecy from some charlatan psychic back a long time ago that she was going to be a widow at a certain age, and she had presumed that because of that the whole death was brought on by her and such, and she hasn't really reconciled that at all and feels really very, very awful about it. But Mum reminded her that there was another man that was courting her at the same time, and basically he had passed well before her husband, and so really there was nothing whatever to be ashamed of. And basically she got her inside this golden circle and told her to cast out all of her demons and such and apologize for, or not apologize, but say, I'm not responsible for the death of the father, to all these people, his parents, his sisters and brothers, and also the children. And basically after that, it was about several hours, at least until midnight, that they did this. And she became a different person, really. I believe Mum had described it as sort of a shade of grey that lifted from her face on a sudden. And basically she's a person anew. And so, having acquired this intelligence, I had basically tossed this matter around in my brain for a little while, and had come to the conclusion that really this story sort of merits at least 2 to 3 volumes. And so I decided essentially to perhaps, I'm not sure if I may well do it, I might, I'm not sure. You people have to let me know if I should or not, but nevertheless, I thought I was going to break these up into maybe a trilogy of novels. The first one obviously still being called The Nurse of Frenzy, and it would carry us through, those 60 years or so. It would start in 1957 and end in 2019. Not for the reasons that you might think, but mainly because there's something there that happened which I thought symbolically would be a good way to end the book, and basically presaged a future change in everyone involved, and really just seemed like the most perfect way to cap things off. And then the second volume, if I were to write this whole series, would be called The Lion and the Dragon. And obviously, you could probably figure out, just by the context of things, why it's called The Lion and the Dragon. This is post-production. I had forgot to mention this, but also the title, The Lion and the Dragon, would refer to, the lion is basically Leo, which is the astrological sign of my mother and the one cousin whom had been on a journey of self-discovery. And as I said, the dragon, you could probably figure out what the dragon means for yourself. But nevertheless, it would take place between those years 2020 to late 2022, and it would be sort of, as I said, more of a drama instead of an epic, and it would follow both sides of the metaphoric Atlantic and how they persevere and such, and follow a lot of this particular cousin and his journey out, and it would be sort of almost akin to something by Hermann Hesse, a sort of a self-discovery type of a narrative in a way. In fact, it may well even be more self-discovery than the previous volume, but nevertheless, that would be what that would be called. And then finally, the third volume, it was originally going to be called The Light, which is basically an homage to The Light by Bernard Hamilton, which is a book that was said to be one of Arthur Conan Doyle's favorite novels, and has a lot to do with spiritualism and reincarnation and such. And I believe the finale takes place in the backdrop of it is the Franco-Prussian War or something like that. That book, for some reason, it's either out of print or it's been stamped out of existence, because I cannot find a copy of it anywhere, used or new. So if any of you have any information pertaining to it, and to where I could, and exactly where I could acquire a copy of The Light by Bernard Hamilton, do let me know, because I'm very intrigued about this particular title and very much want to read it. But no, originally it was going to be called The Light, but I realize now that perhaps a more apropos title for it would be The Golden Circle. And yes, I know there's that one Kingsman film called The Golden Circle, which I'm not sure how much it has to do with the actual Golden Circle. I saw it several years ago, but I don't remember much about it, except it was very violent, but nonetheless. It'd be called The Golden Circle, because obviously it has to do, the whole, I guess, driving force behind the book is the transformation of my aunt from the very melancholy person she was into basically a reformed and happy lady. And it would have to be very short. That probably would almost maybe be a novella or a very short novel. I don't know, to be honest with you. But nevertheless, that would obviously follow that, probably do the whole retreat thing that would chronicle. So, I have no idea exactly what to do. I could potentially write this as a trilogy and just have each novel have a different structure. The first one, Nurse of Frenzy, will probably be the longest because it covers the longest span of time and also really is the most ambitious of the three because it covers a lot of characters. That would probably be about, I don't know, maybe 400 or 500 pages or so. I'm not entirely sure. The second one, The Lion and the Dragon, will probably be more of an average length book because it'll, as I said, detail two sides of the family. It'll be sort of a different structure. That'd probably be maybe 250, maybe 300 or so. And then this one, Golden Circle or The Light, I'm not sure which I'm going to title it, is going to be probably the shortest because it'll probably center mostly around that one event or so, with maybe some little asides into the family proper, because there's also some stuff going on with that one cousin who ended up being married that may well be interesting. And that'll probably be like, I don't know, maybe 200 or so pages, maybe 150. I don't know exactly. But it'd be the shortest one. So, let me know if I should do this, if I should break up this series into 3 volumes, or if I should maybe combine it into one big, long tome and have this be not my magnum opus, but nevertheless just be a very big, long, epic novel that spans several years or so, or whether it would work better as 3 volumes that have a very different structure. I'm personally leaning towards the latter, but do let me know. With that, I've spoken far too much, and will have to rest my voice, probably get a drink of water, but nevertheless, with that, I will be leaving you now, and I'll probably do some reading or writing, I don't know, today. And I hope you have a very good morning, midday, afternoon, evening, midnight, whenever you happen to see this. And do let me know which of these alternatives is the best. And also, if you have any information about Bernard Hamilton's The Light, do let me know about that as well. We will see you soon, and cheers.